Okay, I got the engine out of the Husqvarna. It went fairly smoothly. It's my second time pulling this engine out. In a later video, I'll do a quick teardown on that and get into the flywheel. I'm pretty sure the issue with the charging is a demagnetized flywheel, since I did end up replacing the stator once before and I had the same issue. I also contacted a local shop and they said that could end up happening if the flywheel does demagnetize. We could get that same issue. So I'm going to do a separate video on hopefully trying to remagnetize the flywheel. And if anyone has any suggestions, but I don't know when this video is necessarily coming out. Unplug this charger. It's getting irritating. There we go. Anyways, the machine is running fairly erratically. I do have a theory on why it's running erratically, which I'll show in a second. But the deck's been taken back off. I cannot get the machine through my side gate with the deck in place. Luckily, it is a quick change deck. It's 4 pins, pull the pins, and the deck drops out. It's actually a really nice design. I wish they would have made all the decks like this. Instead, some of them, like newer Craftsmen, have 5 pins that use cotter pins. These ones here have these pulls, which is a very nice setup, and I'm happy that they actually use that. On here, everything's all disconnected. As you can see, it's all here. That's my throttle, choke, fuel line, and my wiring. So everything else is good on this machine other than the erratic idle, and it doesn't really want to rev. But I do believe I figured out why. The air filter is soaking wet with water, not gas, and I believe that's what was choking off the engine. As you can see in here, there is standing water, and this is the part that goes on top of the carburetor. It is all rusty. I will be cleaning this up before this goes back on, and the PCV valve is right there. So water did get down in the engine, so I'm going to have to drain the oil, change the oil, and hopefully put a bag over the engine so this doesn't end up happening again. It truly comes down to a design flaw with this entire line of tractors, because they put air vents right above the actual carburetor on these machines. So if you leave it out in the rain, snow, anything, the water will get down in there and contaminate the engine. There's supposed to be a tiny seal that goes on the top around the wing nut, but that's never ever there. And really, a tiny seal to hold back water coming down on the machine, it won't work. That's just a simple, stupid issue. They should have designed it differently. They should have had the air vents farther forward, away from the carburetor, or had side vents in these hoods. The engine is sitting underneath my workbench at the moment, waiting to be torn down. Luckily, I've done it once before, so it's not going to take too much to actually tear into this engine and get it apart and hopefully fix the issue. So I guess that concludes this video. The Husqvarna is torn down, and actually I'll add one more part. I'm going to quickly take off the electric ram and we'll show that. Okay, on my particular machine, here is where the electric ram lives. This motor right here raises and lowers the deck. So unfortunately, when it got stuck or whatever happened to it, it's in the down position. It's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. When you go to move the machine around, the deck does tend to roll on the ground. So I'm going to get this out, and I will end up doing a separate video on this object right here. So that's now it for this video. I'll talk to him later. Please keep redneck like always, and please drop a comment.